It's just slow.
Yeah, same.
Going old school.
Okay.
Yep, can go from.
We're good? Okay. I'd like to call the Pelham Board of Education meeting of May 4th, 2022 to order. Would everybody please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance?
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Sue, can we have a reiteration of the executive session motions, item 2.4?
Yes, the board met in executive session to discuss collective negotiations pursuant to Article 14 of Civil Service Law, the employment history of a particular person, and the discussion of the record of a particular student.
Okay, welcome to tonight's Board of Education meeting, and may the 4th be with you. For those of you who follow, those who are on camera did not hear that we walked into the Star Wars theme song, which was a nice touch. I also wanted to wish a happy birthday to Dr. Garcia and to Mr. Ricky. I didn't know you were birthday twins until tonight, but thank you for sharing your birthday with us this evening.
Couldn't think of a better way to spend it.
I know. I bet there's no other way you'd rather spend it. So anyhow, so May is a big month of recognitions, and there's some important national dates of recognition for some of our most important people in the district that I wanted to acknowledge. This past Sunday was School Principals Day, and our district is blessed with some amazing school principals and assistant principals who share a vision for our schools and a passion for our students, which is beyond compare. Despite the challenges of these past few years, our principals have never wavered in their commitment to our students and to the important roles they play in each of their schools. They've endured hours of contact tracing. Sometimes that's all they got to do in a given day, particularly during the winter COVID surge. They've reimagined cherished school traditions to normalize the school experience for our students. And yes, they're currently serving hot lunch as well. On behalf of the board, I want to say thank you to our principals for supporting our teachers each and every day and for helping to nurture our students' educational and social emotional needs by creating school environments where our students feel welcome, challenged, and supported. It's also National Teacher Appreciation Week. So I would like also to thank all of our teachers for their energy, passion, and patience that they bring to their classrooms each day. It's been so wonderful to watch all of our teachers return to school routines and experiences that feel more normal with their students this year, and to see how the students have responded. We're lucky to have teachers who inspire the best in our students, who see our kids as more than just students, and who make learning so much fun. I hope our students are showering their teachers with thank you notes and kind gestures to commemorate the important week. I walked out of Hutchinson on a rainy evening right as these amazing parents are chalking the driveway, and it looked gorgeous. And all I could think is, I hope that the teachers get to see this. I told them they have to take a video because it looked so fantastic. So while this is the annual time that we demonstrate our gratitude for our teachers, please know that we appreciate and we support our teachers all year long. And last but certainly not least, Friday is School Nurse Appreciation Day. It's Friday, right? Next week? I looked it up. It used to be May 12th. I think it's Friday, but we'll see. Whenever it may be, we don't want this day to go by without saying something about our teachers. We continue to be incredibly grateful for our nurses, I should say. For their sake, I'm thankful they no longer need to take temperatures to pass out mandatorily required masks or to collect those health screening forms from last year. Nevertheless, they've remained on the front lines in our schools, staying abreast of ever-changing regulations, tending to sick children, and providing a listening ear to our students and to our parents. We're thankful for our school nurses who bless our schools with their calming presence and medical expertise, and who patiently support parents when they have questions or concerns. So tonight we will hold a public hearing of the proposed 2022 hard to get out, the 2022-23 budget. So anyone who wishes to make a public comment on the budget may do so in the public hearing portion of our meeting. We will then have a second public comment period at the end of tonight's meeting for matters which are separate from the budget. As a reminder, the annual budget vote and school board member election will be on Tuesday, May 17th. Polls will be open from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. in the Pelham Middle School gym. You can also submit an application for absentee ballot to the district clerk, and the applications along with additional information about the budget and voter registration are available on the website by clicking the 2022-23 budget under the Board of Education tab. In closing, I would like to take some time to honor Dr. Charlie Wilson, who played so many important roles in our schools for over 40 years. Dr. Wilson was not only one of our former superintendents, but he was also a social studies teacher, school counselor, and director of school counseling, a man after my own heart. While I only had the chance to get to know him through stories, which many people here at the table have shared with me, I know that generations of Pelham students benefited from his dedication to his craft, and that his legacy is still felt throughout our schools. So now I thought it would be nice if we could take a moment of silence to honor Dr. Wilson, and then to follow that up by an opportunity for anybody here at the table who might want to share a thought. I'm sorry that John's not with us. So anyhow, okay, so let's take a quick moment of silence. I don't mean to put you on the spot if you want to say something, but I know Sue went to school here and knew Dr. Wilson. I'm probably the only person,
go to
I think
school
the
here.
only person at the table who knew Dr. Wilson directly.
John and I did. I think
Oh,
John-
yeah,
at
well,
the
John's
table,
not
yes.
here, so.
So, yes, during my years as a student in Pelham High School, Charlie Wilson was in a number of different roles. I'm pretty sure he was the director of counseling during my 4 high school years. So, yeah, I remember him as being the embodiment of Pelham education, really. And given that he was here for so long, I think he really left his mark on the entire school system. But he was very well known at the time that I was a student here in the high school and what was then the junior high school, because we didn't have a middle school then. One example that's talked about quite a bit is the Olympics. So the Olympics that are still going on today and are such a big part of our high school tradition were started by him during his time here. So, so very sad news, and I'm looking forward to a number of tributes to him, and I know that a few things are in the works, so I don't know if Dr. Champ has any updates on that, but I think that when we do, we'll make sure that everyone in the community knows about them.
Jessica, can I just say
Yeah.
a moment about Charlie? He hired me, and I just want the board to know that during his 3 years that I worked with him, he was responsible for helping us bring our TSP programs. He understood social emotional learning, he understood student need, and really was remarkable for the special needs students and what they needed, while also pushing for the students that really wanted to go to the top colleges and expanding all of that. I mean, he was an incredible man, so I just wanted to share that on behalf of our department.
Other thoughts?
I would just, I'd love to share. I had the opportunity to meet Charlie a couple of times, and he was just a true gentleman. He welcomed me in. It was, I can't remember if it was a retirement party or a board meeting, but to be one of the 4 living Pelham superintendents was quite a privileged group to be part of. And he just made me feel so welcomed in that capacity. Just so humble, but had done so much for the district and willing to share his historical perspective, but always just in a way that just kind of welcomes you in and helps you to feel part of it. He had such a love for the district and a pride in the district, the district itself, the community, and the staff, and he really did hire so many staff. I think you met, we had Dr. Lauro earlier in the year, and Dr. Wilson. I think between the two of them, I don't know what percentage, but it's probably the bulk of our staff were hired under the tenure of one of those 2 gentlemen. They really, they built the district in large way to what it is today. When I think of Charlie, I do think of the Olympics, of course, as one of his biggest, most visible legacies. But as I was, going through files and learning the job, I discovered a guidance report that was done by Dr. Wilson a number of years ago. And I think that when I looked at what was in that report, and then the goals of where he wanted to move the district, and then the data of how our the percentage of our students that gradually over time more and more attended upper and higher tier, most competitive colleges, that was an intentional plan set out by him 10, how many, I don't even remember the date of the report, but the work that he did then is what's in place now. And it was an intentionally very well laid out plan to take what was okay college-going rates and college-going outcomes for students to build it into the incredible, high-achieving, top-tier college sending high school that it is today. So I think that's a lot to be proud of, and that legacy, I think, will continue to live on for a long time. Everything I know about him, student-centered, kind, like you said, understood the social, emotional, as well as everything else. The stories I was hearing as we were having planning meetings, one, I still can't figure out his secret to this, but I was told he used to live in the city, would take the train up to work every day, would not have a car, walk down from the train station, then he would walk between the schools. And he would go have lunch at the diner every day, quiet lunch, read the paper by himself for about an hour, and he was at everything. And I thought, how on earth did he do that? It had to be before the internet.
You're trying to figure out how he got an hour of lunch to himself.
That alone is a master accomplishment, and then to walk from point A to point B.
Before
but,
Fitbits and Apple Watches.
Yeah, but no, he's left an incredible legacy, and I'm proud to have had the opportunity to meet him.
Any other thoughts? No pressure, I
Okay.
just wanted to give.
Yeah, maybe when John comes back, we
Yeah.
can let him speak.
Well,
later on.
John Bryce is going to join us. He had a commitment for work. He'll join us later, but I was thinking that during the new business section of our meeting that we could talk about some of the ideas that have.
Thank you, I was just going to.
So maybe at that point, we can hear from John?
Circle back to him,
Okay.
for sure.
So, tonight, we're thrilled to appoint Tracy Holtz as our next Assistant Superintendent for Pupil Personnel Services. She's here with us this evening with her children. I didn't get to meet you yet, but I will look forward to that. So I'd like to take a motion to move her proposed appointment up in the meeting. Do I have a motion to move item, it's 9.1, I believe, Pauline?
So moved.
Thank you, I got it.
Second.
Vinnie and Michael, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? So now I'd like to take item 9.1 on its own. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? I voted on it before you talked, so we can go back to that.
So Tracy, it's official. Congratulations.
It was the fastest appointment at a meeting ever.
That's right. No, really, thank you so much. I'm really just so pleased tonight to have Tracy Holtz here and to be recommending her to the board this evening. Thrilled to have her family here and to have Dr. Ribeiro and Mr. Lau here, who are her new family, who are going to be her work family going forward. And I'm just really excited for this night to come. Just by way of a reminder, the board's, this information has been shared with the board, but I think just a reminder for everyone in the community, Tracy is coming to us from the Mount Pleasant Central School District, where she is currently serving as a Director of Pupil Personnel and Student Services. She's been there since 2016. In her current position, Tracy oversees special education, nursing, and the counseling department, which is a perfect fit for the role that we're looking for her to assume here for Pelham. She serves as a CSE chair and oversees elementary and secondary supervisors of special education, as well as a CPSE chairperson. She has successfully designed and led parent information sessions, professional development sessions, and helped build and deliver an MTSS support program for both academic and mental health, which again fits right in with the work that our district has been doing. Tracy earned her BA in psychology from NYU and MS from Columbia in social work with a concentration on children and families. She also holds an MS in educational leadership and administration from the College of St. Rose. She's a certified social worker and is certified as a school social worker in New York State, which gives her, I think, a very unique and important background for this work. I do want to thank everyone who participated in the search process, as well as express my sincere gratitude to Rosemary Matthews, who continues to come back and help us through times of need. Rosemary, your expertise, that's what I hear. This is really it. And I would only add, the only reason we got her back was because, and the only reason that we had Rosemary back is because this is Pelham. And the only reason that we're getting Tracy without a really nasty fight is because Peter Girizzo, our former superintendent, is her current superintendent, who is only letting her go because this is his home district. Otherwise, he and I would have had some words. But really, Tracy, welcome. We're just so thrilled to have you. We look forward to what you're going to do to build on the incredible foundation that's been laid by Rosemary and Julia after her, and know that you're going to continue on really to take that outstanding foundation with just the best department you can imagine. I know you're going to say your current one's probably the best, but I think in time
Just
you will
wait.
see you have arrived at the best place. But really, we're just thrilled to have you joining the team and look forward to July 1st when you will start with us officially. And thank you for deciding to come to Pelham. So if you want, I'm going to put you on the spot. I don't know if you had a couple words you might want to share with the board and the community. Yeah, you can go right to the, yeah, and you can, if you want to turn a little sideways and you can kind of, get the right angle on there.
I did write down a few thoughts. Thank you so much. This is so exciting, and it's such an honor to be here with you tonight as the Board of Education accepts my recommendation for hire. I know Pelham is a district whose goal is to develop empowered, adaptable, well-balanced individuals who will enter this world to contribute to it and ultimately make sure that it's a better place because they're in it. I also know Pelham values the idea of inclusion, excellence, developing critical thinkers, and approaching how we educate students from a whole child approach. So when I think about those aspects and the values of a school district, it was really easy for me to say, Pelham is where I want to be. As a person and an educator, I value communication, establishing relationships, and building connections so that the learning organization is a place where we're all going to work together with the same vision, doing what's best for students, helping them to believe in their strengths, believe in who they are as learners and young adults so that they know when they leave Pelham, anything is possible for them. I do look forward to building on the great foundational work that's begun here prior to me in order to advance the social, emotional, and academic growth of all students. I look forward as well to meeting everybody. Thank you, team, for being here and people who have come out to support. I look forward to getting to know the community, the students, the staff. I'm just so excited when I begin in July. Lastly, I can't thank you all enough for giving me the privilege to come here and be part of the Pelham family. It truly is an honor and something I hold very serious and very dear, and thank you very much.
Thank you.
Alex, did you want to take some quick photos?
He's a really good photographer.
On that phone of his.
Yeah, it's amazing what you can do with the phone now. We'll just take a quick.
Take a quick photo break. I don't know if my kids will ever be that old. Aww. Congratulations. Yeah, we'll look forward to other opportunities for the community to meet you.
Exciting.
Okay, so next is section 3, which is approval of the minutes. Do I have a motion to approve 3.1, the business meeting minutes of April 19th, 2022?
So moved.
Thanks, Ian and Leah. Do I have a second? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. Next is the,
Superintendent's report.
yeah, okay, I'm looking on paper, so I'm not used to doing this, the old-fashioned way, the Vinnie way of doing things.
Exactly.
You're a pen and paper kind of guy, so I'm trying it on for size. So next is administrative and committee reports, superintendent's report.
Okay, well, thank you so much. Yeah, we've already, the excitement of tonight is kind of, the main event has happened, so really excited to be bringing Tracy on to join the team and look forward to the work that's going to come ahead in the years once, as Tracy joins us. Also want to echo what Jessica said about Teacher Appreciation Week. We've got Principals Day, Nurses Day, Teacher Appreciation Week, really exciting times. And there's probably nothing we could do to truly thank people for the quality of work that they continue to do for our district on a daily basis. So we do hope, as you said, that people are spoiling them this week and sharing those kudos and appreciation with them. I know that at lots of our PTAs, I saw lots of lovely spreads at some of the buildings as I was doing my visits. And so I really, we appreciate that kudos to our staff for all that they do throughout the year. Want to move on to a couple, as we always like to do, brag on our students. Probably one of the biggest, and we're still hoping to get the science accolades here as a whole before the end of the year. We continue to really see some outstanding work in our science department. So Olivia Pollock, this is one of our biggest recent wins, won first place in the National Junior Science and Humanities Symposium. So first place, again, in the National Junior Science Symposium. So that competition represents 9,000 students that enter that competition. 275 become finalists. Our Olivia Pollock was the first place winner out of
Wow.
that.
Wow, that's awesome.
That's amazing.
That's incredible.
Can we have her come and tell us about
Yes,
her
well, that's-
project?
Yeah, we hope to get her and the other students. With that, she garnered a $12,000 scholarship.
Wow.
Just for that one
Good
prize
for her.
alone. So that's just really outstanding. And again, I believe Dr. Callahan can tell us about this when they come to the meeting, but I believe this is a level of award we have never won before as a district. So truly, truly outstanding. Moving on to world languages, congratulations to those who were inducted into the honor societies. Most recently, we have honor societies in all of our languages: French, Chinese, Italian, Latin, and Spanish. The induction was held on the 21st. Additionally, each year our students participate in the National World Language Exams. And looking through those results, just a quick glance through the different tallies that came in. We offered those world language exams in Latin, Spanish, Italian, and French. Every single student who took them from exams ranged from levels 2 through 5 as the highest level. All of the students that took those in those 4 languages scored at least at the cum laude level or higher.
Wow.
So,
That's great.
again, outstanding work by our students, outstanding instruction by our teachers, and our students continue to deliver there. At the high school level, one of our outstanding faculty members, Megan Rice, was accepted into the 2022 Fulbright Hayes Seminar Abroad program. I can't read my own handwriting. Seminar Abroad program by the U.S. Department of Education, so a Fulbright scholarship. She will be studying in Hungary this summer. Man, Hungary this summer with an elite group of other educators. Megan just continues to be that lifelong learner who just excels in everything she does. So I'm jealous because I spent a summer in Hungary when I was in college, so I'm kind of hoping that she comes back with some poppy pastries and fun things. But really just proud of her and the work that she continues to do to develop herself and then to bring to our students.
What department does she teach in?
She is in social studies.
Social studies.
At the high school.
Amazing history teacher.
Yeah. So a couple, I know rankings have been a big topic lately out there in the interwebs. Just wanted to share a couple. You know, rankings always can tell many stories, and we don't always know what goes into them, but every now and then, you know, we do like to report out on certain ones because they do tend to be kind of year-to-year things, and some I think are pretty traditionally relatively strong. So just a couple that most recently came out that we noticed. U.S. News and World Report We ranked 69th in New York State, which is similar to what we've ranked in the past. I think the two additional ones that came out that we were pretty excited about, niche.com, which actually in a recent meeting with our real estate agents, I heard that that's one of the ones that they really refer people to quite often because they think it's one of the more reliable. We ranked third in Westchester. Thought that was very great turnout there. Number 1, Scarsdale. Number 2, Horace Greeley. Number 3, Pelham. Number 4, Bronxville. So it was kind of nice to see that. And then finally, J. Matthews, that's the one that we often turn to a lot because that's a measure of really coursework as opposed to standardized testing. It's based on rigorous coursework. So looking at IB, Cambridge, AP exams, and it looks at the number of those exams, number of students taking those courses in a given year divided by the enrollment of the school. So interesting here, and I think this is the hard work of things that Ms. Clark put in place, Janine Clark. Also, I think it's a result of our open enrollment program over the last number of years. In 2018, we ranked 369th in the country. 2019, 284th. 2020, 280th. 2021, there were no rankings for anyone because of COVID. But this year, we ranked 231st. So a significant over the past, since 2018, we've gone from 369th up to 231st in the country.
Is this for the public schools?
That is public and private. Alex, is that? I gotta check on the. Yeah, actually, it's public, excuse me, I think it's public and charter. Public and charter, they designate between the two. And 220th is that anything from 220 and above is the top 1%. So we're this close to that top 1% of challenging
Across the nation.
rigorous high schools across the nation. So just wanted to share that. I thought that would be some good news for folks to hear tonight. Couple more items before I wrap up. I got the chance today to see the start of our Building Bridges programs at the elementary schools. This year, Colonial and Hutchinson were able to run the programs. Thanks to their PTAs, it is a huge lift to get that program organized and up and running. But it was just phenomenal to see them today. Today happened to be second grade in both schools. They were learning about hearing disabilities.
Mm-hmm.
So learning how to do sign language, lip reading, variety of different accommodations that people with hearing issues may experience. So it was wonderful. Those sessions are spread over usually about a 2-week period. Parents will come in to help run the sessions, and students will run through different experiences to better understand what it might be like to live with a disability. Really positive. So thanks to them, thanks to the principals to helping with that coordination as well. And thank you to PEF that started this program, seeded it for us, has given the funds to expand it to the other schools. So where the other schools may not be able to get it coordinated this year, we're looking for that to expand in the next year. And thanks to the PEF for making sure that funding is there long term.
Today's the last day to give to the blue ribbon.
Oh, yes, last day for blue ribbons. And just a quick reminder, at this May 27th, May 26th and 27th are regular school days, in case anyone missed the change in the calendar from back, I think it was 1 or 2 meetings back, where we, because we took 3 snow days, 3 emergency weather days this year, those reverted back to school days. So that, I believe, that concludes my report for tonight.
Very good. Any questions? Okay. Do you have any Board of Education committee reports? No? Okay.
Maybe worth mentioning, I know in the past we mentioned Cultural Competence Committee, even though it wasn't a formal board meeting. I know Ian was there, I don't know if you want to, and Sue, I don't think you were not able to be.
But we can absolutely share that.
Yeah, I was just
If
going to say,
anyone
we
wants
had the
to report out.
opportunity this last time to, we explored, asked the committee for some feedback on the topic of social media. Just, the question really kind of came from We learned, especially through the Campbell-Jones Cultural Proficiency Training, that really dialogue and conversation is the way to really start to, build bridges across relationships and lines of difference and build understanding of one another. What do we have in common? What are our differences? How to grow in that respect of one another? And we've seen that social media is a very powerful force. It can be very positive and helpful, but it can also be very damaging and divisive and negative. So we really asked the breakout groups to give us some feedback on ways that we can use it as a positive tool, ways that we can help mitigate some of the negative side effects of it. So it was some really, I think, really powerful conversation. And I know I walked away with a couple ideas that we may be looking to implement for next year, things like setting some behavioral norms, potentially some pledges, behavioral pledges, students, maybe even asking our PTAs to partner with us as parents. How do we model the exemplary behavior that we want to use with social media? So I thought it was very helpful and very useful conversation. So.
I agree. I think it was, how do we maximize the positive elements
Exactly.
of social media and try to minimize the negative elements? And I think to the degree we use social media for promotion of events, people identified that as
yes.
very important. How can we create positive incentives, even competitions that generate positive behavior? And to the point of how do we as adults mimic good behavior? How do we not be obsessed with having to have cell phones at every moment? And how do we try to just exhibit responsible behavior? I think there was some interesting discussion around use of cell phones during the day, which I think is worthy of exploration, and the difference between middle and high school. And is that a good thing or a bad thing? So anyway, I think there's further discussion to be had there.
I think a couple of things are going quite well with this committee this year. I like the use of breakout sessions, and I feel like the student voice has been significant this year, and a big part of that committee's work. So I think it's going well.
Great.
Cheryl,
Thanks. Yeah.
I just wanted to add something about social media that's relevant to this conversation. Ian was speaking about the difference between middle and high school students, and last week, Pelham Together worked with the middle school to have a speaker, Tricia Prabhu, who was speaking to middle school students about rethinking before they post on social media. She's almost going to be a Harvard graduate. She's 21, and she created an app that you can install a keyboard on your phone that makes you pause before you post something unkind on social media. I know, the reason I'm bringing this up is I know Ms. Sabia was very interested in it. And so it might be, I don't know if she's on your committee, worth talking to her when you're furthering this conversation.
She was in these discussions,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
Okay, that's great. It's a great connection. Thank you.
Yeah, she
I'll
was,
follow up
I
with
think it was good to have a young person speak to young people. She was fantastic and really connected with kids.
And then that connected to our Let's Talk session the other day. So just quickly, we didn't have a community outreach, but we've had 4 of the Let's Talk sessions at each of the elementary schools. At 2 schools had a huge turnout, and at 2 schools a smaller turnout, but the conversations are really important and interesting. And at the last school we were at, we had a couple of teachers join us, which was really nice. And one of the teachers reported that because kids have been on screen so much in the last couple of years and they were so isolated, they're being exposed to so much on the internet, kind of beyond what parents can keep up with, and it's presenting itself in the classroom. So as a teacher was kind of coming to us in the discussion of even how do we deal with these things in the classroom. So I think there's so many layers to this conversation, and it's an important thing to consider.
And I'm glad you reminded me of that. I had the chance to sit down with John Sabalos and Alicia Del Mastro and talk about digital literacy, and and they kind of walked me through the different things that they've been working on. And I know, I think they said October is Digital Citizenship Month. So they have a whole series of instructional modules planned for that. So that could be, again, another opportunity for us to maybe tie in district-wide to kind of a bigger plan of the educational, the identifying of those behaviors and norms that we all want to agree to, a pledge app. Maybe it could be October could be a perfect time for us to really launch a unified effort to really make sure that we're using social media in the best way that we can. And as you said before, mitigate the negative and really use it, the power of the positive. So lots of potential.
I thought the one community engagement session that I went to was great. It was a good idea. I think people appreciate being heard, and it's good feedback for us to know what is of interest to parents. So great idea from community engagement.
More to come, hopefully next year.
Just out of curiosity, the teacher said that's, I guess they had observed that the kids had like inappropriate things, or?
Yeah, like the younger kid, just in general, younger kids are being exposed to more because of their access to the internet, and they're more reliant on it than they were before COVID, and that's happening in her own district. So it's not just specific to Pelham, but sort of that presents extra challenges for teachers who weren't expecting to have to, address it one way or another, whether it's just, and just looking for some suggestions or some skills. And so that's something that we certainly think about. All right. So next is item 4.3, which is Assistant Superintendent's update on authentic learning. The first birthday boy, Dr. Garcia.
Thank
I'll
you.
keep embarrassing
Thank
you
you.
since you're here
No,
with
that's
us.
fine. Yes, I am 52, I'll say that.
Oh, you didn't have to
Yeah,
state
that's
your
fine.
age.
No, it's
but-
okay. I feel good about my age.
Steve's
I
the big
accept it.
brother.
Yeah,
I
the
accept
big
it.
brother.
Yeah, I am the big brother. That's right.
By
And
one
I
year.
apologize if my voice is a little, and I'm congested. Allergies are pretty bad this season. So, just want to give the board and the community an update. So last summer, I know there was a lot of discussion, also implementation of summer programs for kids. And we're in the draft stages, but also the invite stages for, at least for the elementary students, for looking at our summer programs and trying to figure out how many students would actually participate. Traditionally, we've had the middle school. There's been a learning institute for kids who have struggled over the past year. Also an algebra summer institute, which we'll hold again. For high school students, we have crash courses for students who need to take the Regents. And we're also finding out from our partners which high schools are going to possibly offer summer schools, like for high school level, and also Regents exams, because we don't currently offer the Regents exams during the summer here. And that hasn't been an issue over the past years because of COVID. And the largest program we have is called Summer Stars, and some funds are used from Title I, and then also we have funds from the budget. About 129 students qualified this year, which is not different from last summer, or last spring. We looked at the battery of different exams that we give, like Ames Web, but also whether they're receiving different interventions this year. So through the MTSS committees of each school, there was invites that were sent to parents. And then they'll respond to us probably within the next couple of weeks. We'll figure out how many students will be able to join us, and then we'll be staffing those experiences. There's also an ESY program, special education students, which runs 30 days throughout the summer. What's we're happy this year for the first time is that for the elementary level, also for special ed, we're planning on actually housing that at the New Hutchinson School, which is an excellent facility for that to hold those students, and then separate that really from the secondary students who will be here on this campus where they've been here traditionally. So over the next month, we'll really finalize, especially at the secondary level, kids who qualify, invite the students, and then find out our rosters. And then we'll make sure that all our staff are ready to work with our students. Most of the time, it's going to be a Monday through Thursday experience, which has traditionally been the case with our summer programs. We just know the differences of ESY. It's a 30-day program that is separated. And then we'll be staffing them accordingly. And last year, I know there was concerted effort to bring as many as possible, and we had the funds for it. We'll say about out of the 120 students last year that were invited, I believe about half of them actually joined us. So we expect that range around this year. That's for the elementary programs. But there is a lot of parental outreach, especially with the counselors and the teachers. And if parents have any questions about whether their students, maybe they feel that they would want to participate, or if there's a certain need, please contact their school principal. And then we'll use that avenue to find out and how we can accommodate them. But we believe it's going to be a robust experience again this year, and we definitely have the funds to support those experiences.
Steve,
Yes.
so But you answered one of my questions, which
Yes.
was if a parent was interested in some extra help over the summer, they should just reach out to their principal.
Talk to the principal, right, please, as the conduit to find out, especially at the elementary level, and that's the easiest, but of course, at the secondary level as well. That is the best avenue. I think also speak with the teacher. If it's elementary level, please, if the parents would like to speak to their child's teacher and figure out if there's something that can be done or an assistance that's offered. I always say that we have enough room for children, so we don't really turn away anyone. It's more of trying to make sure that, the students who really need it, actually join us.
Right.
Right, because people do have other experiences over the summer, which is sometimes in conflict. Most of these experiences really, the bulk of it happens in July.
So I had another question. I remember in the past you've offered, I think it's for middle school math for kids who want to accelerate a year if they maybe didn't take the opportunity the first time. Are you doing that again?
Yeah, yes. So that, I think it's the Summer Institute, Algebra Summer Institute, to help the children bridge, to get prepared and be able to accelerate as well. And I think what's important is that if we find a need that we did not know about or didn't have in the past, everything is really, in my mindset, is flexible, right? So we match the needs of the current situation. So just because it may have experienced it, a number of years ago, doesn't mean we should be doing it now and vice versa. So again, those are always important conversations, and I just think that we should never say that this is our standalone experience and that's it. That's never been, I think, our philosophy in this district. And I think the tricky thing too is finding teachers at times, right? Because the teachers, especially last year, they needed a break, but we didn't. We ran whatever we were supposed to for programs for kids, and we did not really have a staffing problem. So we don't experience that. Well, hopefully we won't experience that this year as well.
So the message is to reach out if you think.
Please reach out, okay? I know we will be reaching out to you, but also if there's parent has questions, please speak to the child's teacher and also the principal, and we'll figure out what we can do.
Thank you.
Okay. Just some other pieces of information. We just finished the ELA and math exams over the past month in grades 3 through 8. However, we were selected to do field tests as well, and there are a number of field tests. Every elementary school does have a field test to be administered. Some in ELA, some in science, earth science in middle school, and also geometry and U.S. history in the high school. That's just also the indication that the standards are changing and that there are new exams on the horizon, and the state needs to, field test different questions. We don't really have much of a choice in that, and really not in the business right now to fight that monster. I put this in the board update, and I just wanted to mention it to the community as well. I just find it fascinating that finally the state has kind of really narrowed a definition of remote instruction. And I know there's always that conversation, is it synchronous, asynchronous? And for the past 2 years, unfortunately, the state kind of left it nebulous. But most recently, they passed an amendment to one of their sections, the commissioner's regulations, and that's, remote instruction shall encompass synchronous instruction provided through digital video-based technology, and may also include asynchronous instruction. So really what that informs us, I think, is that it's asynchronous. It is synchronous. You have to have synchronous live instruction. You may incorporate as well some asynchronous experiences, which is, I think, normal, but you just can't say, hey, go onto your website, look at the work, and then come back to us. So those days, I think, are shut down. Just wanted to inform the community, and I think that will make sure that if we ever experience certain disruptions again, we know what type of programs we should have for our kids. Live instruction. And I think that's it for my report tonight. And thank you for the birthday wishes. I appreciate it. And Jim, happy birthday.
Any questions?
Did you get a cake pop for your birthday?
I did not get, no,
I would
don't wanna
recommend the
get to it.
cake
Yes.
pops.
No cake pops. I want to try to remain, as I get older, you want to, maintain my body weight. That's healthy.
Okay, next is 4.4, which is Assistant Superintendent's update on the whole child.
I didn't know that fact, so I'm glad he shared that with me. I am going to miss my partners here, I have to say, Cheryl as well. Thank you, Jessica. So I wanted to update you on the ICT classes for next year. As you know, Dr. Ribeiro has been taking the lead. I was so glad to see her here tonight. And the plans are moving along. As we've talked about, we're trying to make sure the pairings between the special ed, the general ed teacher are appropriate, that they have a chance to be trained, they work together so that they'll plan and they'll teach and everything will be in sync. It's not easy. It doesn't roll out that smoothly. So to that end, there are 11 days of full coaching days planned for next year. So basically one a month and then one in the summer as well. And then there'll be also some virtual workshops if as needed. Also, Lauren has had, it's Jessica from, I wrote it down, I think it's called GNR Inclusive Group, working with one of the teachers ahead of time on progress monitoring and goal setting. So she's really on top of this. Also, Cheryl and I were talking today about the future, and the goal would be to expand it to K-2, but as I told you, it's going to be based on need. And those projections you'll start to know about early in the school year because we'll see what's there. Lauren will be working on that, and you can ask those questions throughout the year to see what you're headed toward for the following year. Annual reviews, we're still full on season. We've finalized 120 documents and actually sent them to families, so we're very pleased with that. And you'll see your Schedule D has 16 pages. So you do have 53 related to CSE documents, 15 are Section 504, and 1 is CPSC. And just recognize those are all not annual reviews. We still have referrals for initial referrals for special education in Section 504 coming through as well, and reevaluation reviews. And then lastly, our unified basketball team invites all of you to come. So on behalf of Lauren and Greg and Mr. Salazzo as special ed teacher and coach and the unified students, we'd love for anyone to please join on May 9th and also May 17th. Those are the home games. They start at 4:15 in the middle school gym. And my grandson, he's 9 months, but he's reserved his spot on the bleachers, so he's coming already. So it would be great, but we're excited for the kids. They're really happy.
May 17th?
9th and 17th.
May 9th and 17th.
At 4:30.
17th might be a facilities conflict. That's our budget vote in the middle school gym.
I was
Oh,
like, why
really?
does that date sound so
Yeah.
familiar? Oh, yeah.
Early, is it early, is it?
It's
oh,
all day.
It's all day, of course.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
I'm sure we can work it out. I think we just
Yes.
gotta.
I guess you don't want to just cancel the budget vote now. I don't think so.
It's really worth it, though. It was my favorite event of 2020,
It's so exciting.
Yeah,
exciting.
we'll
It's really
definitely.
awesome.
We'll figure it out. I'm glad
We'll
that I
figure it out
announced
for
this.
sure. Yes.
I highly recommend.
Oh,
Did
it's
you-
amazing.
Yeah, it's so
It's the
great.
best. It's really the best.
What time did you say the game was?
4:15.
4:15, yes. And they're selling T-shirts also.
Good addition.
Okay. Is that it, Rosemary? Or you have more?
Oh, yes, that's it for me.
Thank you. Okay, 4.5 is Assistant Superintendent's update on finance and facilities. Mr. Ricky.
Hi, good evening, and thank you for the birthday wishes, and Dr. Garcia, happy birthday. Providing some updates to Hot Lunch, which we talked about at the last meeting. The kids certainly are enjoying it at the middle school, at the elementary schools. Just to give you an idea of scale, pre-COVID, we turned about 100 to 125 lunches, hot lunches per day to all the elementary schools. They're averaging about 600 lunches per day now at the elementary schools, and they did 801 last Friday for pizza a day. So it's stressing our folks out. We're certainly at our levels, high levels, but
It's all still free.
it is still free, at least through the end of this school year. And it's terrific that the kids are getting a chance and they're enjoying it. So something different, something neat. And
The talk of the town, I'm telling you.
yeah, there's a lot of talk internally too about making sure everything shows up on time and everything else. And it's difficult. It's a challenge because, as you can see, the volume is certainly up. But that's great for the kids. So it's really good news there. Obviously, we have our budget hearing tonight with the state mandated budget hearing towards the end of my presentation here. I'm just going to roll into a short presentation, which the board has seen before. We have, I had mentioned that we were going to have some operations and maintenance bid openings in a communication to the board. That is actually going to be postponed to the next board meeting, we have some additional bids coming in and a small case of the flu. So we've pushed that off a little bit. And then we've got some transportation, some transfers, a larger one for transportation this year. Driver in that has really been additional buses for COVID, because we've had to maintain spacing. And then certainly success has a price with the hockey team and a lot of coach buses. But again, we don't, this is certainly something we can handle, and it's a nice problem to have, for sure. And then lastly, on our capital bond, we are moving along nicely. The sod was supposed to go in at, I'm told the sod was supposed to go in at Prospect Hill today. Due to the rain, it was delayed. So they are planning that for next week. The building is down at Hutchinson, as you can see. They are working on some site work issues right now. You'll still see some corners of that foundation in place by 3rd and Lincoln. That's because there'll be some grading and some steep grading, and the thought is that some of those corners of those buildings would be helpful in holding back the earth. So the architects, the engineers, the people who do this for a living are coming up with a plan for that. So we're gonna wait for them to have a full plan for that, which is great. Moving ahead nicely here at the front of the high school. They're not working this week just because of testing that is going on. So days we have testing, they're not doing that work. But again, all the cast pieces are here. So we hope to have all of that installed by the end of the school year. And then the rest of the work at Prospect Hill, I'm jumping back to Prospect Hill in the addition. The exterior work is just about completed. The roofing will start shortly. They're going to be there this weekend working on doors and hardware, and really with the goal to finish by the end of the school year. So all exciting things moving forward. So we're really happy about all of that. Let's see. We do have there was a tax certiorari settlement on this board's agenda. As you see from the paperwork, it goes back to 2014. So it's a multi-year settlement recommended by Labor Council. This is an action for the board to authorize the settlement of that tax certiorari. And then once that settlement is approved by the court, then it'll be paid. Of course, we receive the payment order from the attorneys and payment is made. Then if I could just jump in real quickly, we have the proposed school budget for 22-23. As we look at our school year, the 22,
We
yes.
could take a motion.
We want to actually motion to
Oh, you
move
want-
the hearing.
Okay, I was going to do it before you did that, but that's okay.
I can't remember how we did it before.
I'm happy to do it either way, whatever the board
Let's do it
pleases.
during the hearing.
Okay.
I think it's probably.
Okay. So, and just something else I wanted to note regarding the budget. Alex finalized the focus today.
Yes,
It'll be hitting mailboxes.
for the budget vote.
Okay. It's a highly, not to put you on the spot, but a highly detailed, rendering of overview of everything that's been going on in our district, of the budget, real great detail. So it'll go to everybody's mailboxes. Oh, yes, we didn't do communications and comments from the public. So we have,
Probably makes sense, Jim, so you're done with your regular update?
okay. So first, we have communications and comments from the public on items that appear on the agenda, not the state budget hearing. We have a person in the audience shaking their head, so, okay. Next, I'd like to motion to recess the business meeting and convene the budget hearing. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second? Second. Thank you. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, now we will have Jim do his
Okay, thank you.
update, and then we will call on public comment, should our community member want to add public comment for that.
Okay, and again, this is just a few quick slides of the proposed school budget for 22-23. Hard copies of the budget are available at any of the schools in the main office and at the town library, as well as on the school district website. So as you can see, our 22-23 school year budget has a total appropriation of $84,240,000. It is almost a $4 million budget-to-budget increase, with an allowable tax levy increase of 1.95%. Below that, you can certainly see the breakdown between the two. of our operating portion of the budget and then the capital portion of the budget. And the sum of that brings us to that 1.95%. As we looked at the budget, there's the three priorities: academic and educational recovery, mental health and wellness, and organizational sustainability. Again, for academics, the budget adds 1.5 full-time equivalent permanent elementary intervention teachers for a total of 8 across the 4 schools. There's also one more contingent position if needed. There's creation of a middle school math intervention teacher to provide additional intervention to support students, expanded integrated co-teach at the elementary level, the addition of a middle school special education teacher to meet student IEP needs, increasing world language 0.8 and art 0.2 positions to meet student course requests, the offering of updated high school course electives based on student interests such as data science, humanities, and research, the addition of a dedicated technology teacher to expand elective STEAM offerings based on growing student interest, making the ELA staff developer a full-time position to supplement professional learning in Teachers College Reading Writing Workshop, providing innovative and flexible furnishings to all kindergarten classrooms to foster student engagement, and lastly, expanding one-to-one Chromebook initiative to kindergarten and first grade so all students in grades K through 12 have access to a device. Under mental health awareness, there's creation of an elementary school counselor position to continue the Fly 5 mental health curriculum, providing 2 additional clinicians, social worker, psychologists for the middle school, high school to offer additional support to students. The addition of a bowling team at the high school as an inclusive sport to meet the growing interest and participation of all student athletes. Creation of a diversity, equity, and inclusion a coordinator who will serve as a liaison for students and families and work to further district's work on cultural competence. Creation of a position to oversee health services. Shifting of responsibility within counseling department to provide better counselor to student ratio for 9th grade graders in their transition year. And then the third component is that organizational sustainability with an administrative restructuring to oversee increased staff and program consolidating personnel-related functions under the leadership of an executive director for HR and leadership, creating an assistant superintendent for excellence in teaching and learning to focus exclusively on curriculum, instruction, and assessment, and maintaining an assistant superintendent for business and pupil personnel services. The budget includes the addition of a network specialist to continue meeting the growing technology needs through a BOCES position, the restoration of a custodial position to support the increased demand at the Hutchinson School, continuing professional learning to support the social emotional needs of students, including STEPS, a universal DBT program, responsive classroom, and multi-tiered systems of support. Continuing to provide teachers and students with learning resources, including software to support learning and literacy and numeracy. And lastly, ensuring that class sizes across all grade levels are at or below Board of Education guidelines. As we look at the budget, there's 2 components of it, the revenue budget and the expense budget. This first slide here shows that revenue budget. Largest component of the budget is made up of property taxes. The proposed budget shows the property tax component increases 1.95% to $68,581,807. Second line there is our state aid, which has a 22.8% year-to-year increase in that aid, an increase of $1,965,006. And that brings the total proposed revenue or expected revenue to $10,582,000. With the other ones being miscellaneous revenues or receipts, things such as tuitions, sales tax, other fees that we may collect. And lastly, there's an appropriation of our fund balance of $820,000 and appropriation of debt service fund of $1,955,000. So the total expected revenue is that $84,240,000. And then you would look at our state aid. Again, this is the component breakdown of our state aid and where that increase comes from. As has been discussed in previous board meetings and budget meetings, the largest increase is in the foundation aid. You see that almost 36% increase in foundation aid year to year. As we look at the budget as far as 3 components, the expense budget, it's made up of 3 large components. The educational program of 74.4%, the administrative component of 8.9%, and capital of 16.7%. And then we have our expense budget. No surprise, and we've spoken to this before, the largest component of the expense budget is salaries and benefits. So that's really what we see here. With the larger, again, that's the largest increase where you see there, dollar-wise. Percentage-wise, you'll see a larger increase on equipment, and that speaks to the innovative furniture that we talked about earlier in the kindergartens. If we go down to the total for the proposed 22-23 budget, $84,240,000, the same number for the revenue budget. Here's a side-by-side summary of budget-to-budget changes. Revenues are on your left, expenditures on your right. You see the increases or decreases in each of these component areas. Again, the total increase in revenues and expenditures, $3,960,000. Impact on the effective school taxes on a home assessed at $945,000. If your change in assessment is zero, you could see a year-to-year tax increase of $138. If your increase in change of assessment is 0.63%, $247. A 1% increase, $311. Year-to-year with the homestead property owner, that's a 1.44% for the average homeowner, with the average change in assessment of 0.63%. Taking us back to the first slide here, again, this is our 22-23 budget at a glance. This lets you know we're getting to the end of the slides. Total appropriation of $84,240,000 with an allowable tax levy increase of 1.95%. And again, that's within the tax cap. The vote is on May 17th, as we talked about, in the middle school gymnasium. There'll be three items: the approval of the vote of the 22-23 school budget, the establishment of a capital reserve in the amount not to exceed $10 million over a 10-year period, and election of 3 candidates to the Board of Education. Thank you.
How many more times do you have a budget presentation to go through?
I don't know. We've had a few.
More to come, right? We've had a lot right now.
Actually, yeah, not a whole lot.
Just
I
a few
think,
more.
The 10th and 11th, a couple more, yeah.
Thank you. So next is a call for public comment on the adopted 2022-23 school year budget. Okay, there's no signups at the front. So next, I'd like to take a motion to adjourn the budget hearing and reconvene the business meeting. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you. And as I see a second from Michael. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Next section is section 7, financial reports and motions. I'd like to take a consent of 7.1 to 7.4. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you. Ian and Sue. Any questions or comments? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Next is our policy monitoring and governance, section 8. Ms. Tabat.
So, today we have 2 policies that are on for first readings, and one policy that was initially put on the notice that went out to the community that we're actually not going to be speaking about today. It was not on the agenda. It's a policy concerning surveillance cameras in schools and on school buses, and we had sent a draft to our attorney, which we received back with some comments, and we haven't had a chance to discuss it in policy committee, sorry. So we'll hopefully address that at the next meeting. So the 2 first readings are one, which is a new policy for us. It's called website accessibility. It's policy number 3121. And this policy, we got through the policy service, and we need it because it provides the terms by which we make our website ADA accessible to people who have disabilities, which we do. Alex came to our policy committee meeting and talked to us about how the website is accessible, much of which I did not understand, but that's what this policy is about. Anybody have a question? Nope, okay. The second one is a policy that we already have. It's a required policy, but it's been updated. It is 3310. It's public access to records, and it's our policy that deals with Freedom of Information Act requests by the public. And so the obligations of people requesting and of the district in providing have been clarified a little bit in this policy. It's a little more specific. And that's basically what it does. Any questions or comments on the FOIL policy? No?
Has anything really changed?
As I said, it's gotten a little more specific. There's some language in this policy that if somebody makes a request, they need to certify that they're not going to sell private information. And it clarifies how we have to put a notice on our website that Pauline is our person to contact regarding FOIL requests. We can charge for copies. Most of our records are now electronic, so it's not an issue. We already had a FOIL policy. This, as I said, makes it a little more
It's
specific.
clear and more robust, I would say.
Yeah.
And I think one of the changes was, before it said there had to be a physical sign or something like that, and now it's like, it's on the website.
Posted
which is-
clearly on the website.
And one thing I learned was that a lot of the requests actually come to the business office about questions about contracts or requests for proposals or something like that, or,
Yeah, generally, our requests follow on purchasing. So we'll get requests from companies saying who we've made payments to, who our vendor files are, items like that.
and that's sort of where it came in to not sell that information, or,
Yeah, they're almost like mining the information. Publicly available information, though.
but that was kind of like the vast majority of the FOIL requests is.
For us, those are the larger requests, yes.
Anybody else? That's it.
Thank you. So next is Section 9, which is Superintendent's Personnel Recommendations. I'd like to take a consent of 9.2 to 9.4. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ian. Any questions or comments?
I wanted to ask, is Mr. Orfeh, the Mr. Orfeh who was here many years ago as a substitute?
I believe so.
That was going to be my comment, because we have a lot of retirees. Yeah.
Yeah?
Yes.
Gail as well?
Gail and, yes.
And Miriam Lovett, I see is on here as
Yeah.
well.
That was going to be my comment. How many retirees continually come back as staff?
There'll be a lot
I know
more
one
in the
of-
next few years.
I know, but it's wonderful, though. Like, they retire, but they don't want to really leave us.
But I've had some nice conversations with a couple of recent retirees who've come back to work with us as substitute teachers. And first of all, I'm amazed that they would come back during COVID, but they're having, I think, a really good experience.
That's great.
And we're very happy that they're here because
Yeah.
They're very skilled, yeah.
They're very skilled, yes.
I've seen Ginny Mangiello at a couple buildings now,
Oh, yeah?
subbing for, she's at Prospect Hill, she was at Colonial. And, yeah, they're excited to be back and bring a new energy
It's-
and
it's been-
lots
it's
of
great.
expertise.
I had that same thought, that when I looked down this list, there's a few retirees, and it's not the first time we've approved
Yeah.
retirees. Okay.
If I could just add in too, we have Marianne Durasmo, a student monitor, who has, she's been a special education monitor, and she's with us for 22 years.
Wow.
Just certainly, thank you for her time. Rosemary obviously knows her well, and we wish her success and thank her.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Section 10 is Pupil Personnel Services. We have a long Schedule D. Do I have a motion? Thanks, Ian. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? So next is new business. I thought we could talk briefly. I know that, well, I wish John were here because he spent a lot of time speaking with some key people, along with Dr. Champ and Ms. Tabaz, to kind of brainstorm some great ways to honor Dr. Wilson.
Yeah, so I would say a lot of this is still works in progress. We had an initial group, Rosemary was there. Ms. Sabia, Mr. Brown from the middle school, Dr. Thompson.
Sally Tedesco.
Yes, yeah, Sally Tedesco, a number of people that had knew Charlie well. So we brainstormed a couple ideas, and I think you're right. I think there's been further conversation between Dr. Lauro, John, I think a few other people. So we're looking at a number of ideas.
Stevie, Peter
Stevie
Drizzo,
Paul-
he connected with
Yeah,
him.
yeah. So I'm certainly looking at a scholarship, setting up some sort of scholarship, and Jim's, kind of looking at the process of how that would happen. And I think I think it's as simple as a donation to the district to establish a scholarship.
Yes.
And then whether one person was the collector of all that money and donated it on the whole, or individuals wanted to donate it directly to the district for the purpose of that scholarship, we could do that. So I think there's a group that's assembling to identify what the purpose of that scholarship would be, identify the criteria, et cetera, and then it would be administered by the district and the school. We also put out a save the date for June 6th, so we want to do something on sites, and so many staff and community members knew him and were not able to go up for any of the arrangements. So we're planning to do an after-school memorial service just down here, probably right in front of the high school, right at the circle walk area there where all the cherry trees are. Have a number of speakers and provide opportunities for people to just share memories, et cetera. We wanted to do it that week because it's the start of Olympics week. And then we will likely be asking the board to declare June 10th as a Charles T. Wilson Day, which is actually the day of the Olympics themselves. We thought it would be fitting in his honor. And we also are going to ask the board to pass a resolution renaming the Olympics in his honor as well. So the Charles T. Wilson Olympics. The trophy already has his name on it, so that was another thing we were going to add, but that's already done. So we thought it would be fitting. And potentially as part of all of those ceremonies, adding a plaque into the circle, the middle of the circle walkway. If we could craft something there, that would be a permanent memorial for him. And then finally, I think there's a desire on the part of a number of staff members to request the board consider naming the high school main gym in his honor, and that's the location where the Olympics are held each year. So if that idea does go forward, then there would be a letter coming to the board per the policy. And I know that under the policy that was developed a while back, there'd be an 18-month waiting period past the request. So we would follow that procedure. So those are the ideas that have come up at this point in time that I think there's a lot of interest around pursuing. We'll keep everybody apprised of those as they develop.
So as far as the scholarship goes, when I spoke with John, he said that Dr. Lauro is still in touch. I guess Dr. Wilson was in charge. He was the president of the Retired Superintendents Association for a number of years and kept in close contact, and feels that there's a lot of members of that organization who Dr. Lauro is also close with, who would be interested in contributing to a scholarship, along with perhaps retirees or people within our community
staff and
and current
community as
staff,
well.
former board members. So I think he was interested, per the conversation that I had, and I think you and John spoke to, about kind of running with the fundraising element of that. So I don't know, I think it was important for Dr. Lauro to gauge whether the board was supportive of that idea. Jim, I don't know specifically what the process is, but I think to start having those conversations, to be able to go to people and say, the board liked this idea, was important to him. So I don't know.
I mean, yeah, if that's the consensus of the board, I can certainly pass that on to him.
Yeah,
I
so
know-
I think they wanted to just have us have a moment to talk about that and make sure that we're open to it, so that he could just bring that to those who he approaches if they go that direction.
That
I'd
was
certainly be
basically what
supportive of it.
sorry, so go
I
ahead.
was just saying I would certainly be supportive of a scholarship. I think that's
Yeah.
a completely appropriate way to remember him.
I agree, and as Cheryl said, to have a group of people maybe who knew Dr. Lauro and also some high school faculty members design the criterion for which the scholarship would be awarded. But what you said was reflective of my conversation with John. I actually spoke with Peter, but he spoke with Stevie and Dr. Lauro. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think it would be a great idea. Jim hopefully will figure out the logistics and how it.
Yeah, I figure
Been
as
done many
much,
times
yeah.
before.
I mean, we have so many scholarships,
Yeah.
but just so you're
Yes.
following the right mechanics
Mhm.
around it.
Absolutely.
Sure.
Yeah, I think especially the way you said he had built up the college placement, and left that legacy. I think that, to have a scholarship really is a nice way to
Fits right
honor
in.
that.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's great.
Okay. all
Okay,
right,
so I'll
we
pass
will-
that along to Dr. Laurel, but any other thoughts or questions around some of the ideas? I mean, my question was sort of around, are these just a variety of different ways to honor him? And then people will figure out, or do they want to do all of the things?
I think the goal is all of the
Okay,
things.
okay.
He was very beloved.
Yeah.
And I think that, there are, in one of the conversations we had, and Rosemary can chime in if I miss anything on this, is that there are a number of plaques already around the campus for former superintendents, so that's in keeping with what had been done there. I think there's different areas of the building or fields who had been named after prior superintendents as well, so that's also in keeping with, traditions and prior practice of the district. So I think the goal was likely to do most, if not all, of these items in his honor.
And in addition to the scholarship, there was a discussion about, because I think there's a bust of him or something?
Yes.
So there was
is.
discussion about the possibility of, like, the way we do the Fenlon Award, where there's a plaque with every recipient, gets added to the plaque for
To
his
put that with,
scholarship.
to maybe have a plaque with the.
names of the
smaller plaque of the
recipients over
names
all
to
the
go
years.
underneath the bust, if we decide to leave the bust there, or to move it in a different location. The way the memorial tablet
Right.
plaque is set
Was
up.
that in addition to the scholarship?
I think that would put the
scholarship
names of the people
winners
who
would be
won
on
the
it.
scholarship.
Okay.
Is that what you were thinking?
Yeah. Okay, I've just asked a lot of questions. Anybody have any other thoughts or questions?
I'm trying to remember where that bust is.
I think it's outside of the high school guidance,
Yeah.
I mean, the
Oh,
high
I've seen it.
school
Main
main
office.
office.
Main office, okay.
Oh,
I know I've seen it.
Yeah, that should be easy enough.
And the plaque you mentioned in the middle of the circle, you're talking about by those cherry trees?
Yeah.
Because I think Dr. Laura mentioned in his conversation to you that he loved that spot where
Yep.
right in front of the high school where the cherry trees are. And
Yeah.
that's where,
He
is
spent a
that
lot
why
of
the,
time. He sat out there quite often,
Yeah.
because he.
when he
it was his
wasn't
favorite spot.
having lunch at the diner?
Yes,
He had his
walking the
morning
diner,
coffee
walking
in
the
that
sidewalk
spot.
line. I don't know how he got to Prospect Hill and Hutchinson. I mean, I know our kids do it, but I don't know how you do that in the course of a work day.
You don't wear heels, probably.
No.
Wow.
That would help. That'd be a
definitely
good
help.
start. Yeah.
He was very friendly with facility staff also.
Okay.
Ah,
You gotta lift every once in a while.
okay.
Oh, awesome.
Great.
Well, I mean, it's just special to have this opportunity to honor somebody who's
Mhm.
just committed so much of their career to our district. That's not all that common,
Right.
all that often, and in so many different ways, So, okay. Third time I'm gonna ask communications or comments from the public, not to make it uncomfortable, but you're here, so I have to look right at you in the eyes. Okay, so Leah,
Madam President, would you entertain a motion to adjourn?
so moved. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? May the fourth be with you.
Okay. Very nice.
Happy birthday.
Another